Poland for her statement. I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thank the Special Representative of the Secretary General on West Africa and the Sahel, Mohammed Ibn Chambas, for his briefing. We would once again like to assure you that Russia supports your personal efforts and also the activities of the UN office that you lead in resolving regional crises, political mediation, and providing assistance to improving state institutions, as well as the pursuit of paths for economic development and the fight against terrorism. The scale and the results of your work deserves the highest praise. It's good to see that the political situation in the region on the whole has remained stable. In the first half of this year, elections in many countries of the region took place without serious problems in Nigeria, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, and Benin. We trust that the ongoing electoral cycle in some West African countries will also take place in conditions of law and order. At the same time, the security situation in the Sahara-Sahel region and a number of countries of West Africa remains complex. The international terrorism that has taken root there is building up its activities, trying to expand the area of its operations, and new radical groups and leaders are emerging. The roots of the situation lie in external intervention and the subsequent collapse of statehood in Libya in 2011. The persistent acute internal political and socio-economic problems in countries of the Sahel, as well as inter-ethnic and inter-religious confrontations, are feeding into the activities of a far-reaching network of jihadist structures. Collective steps by states in the region and external partners to counter these challenges has not yet provided a breakthrough in the fight against extremists. In Mali, a drawn-out conflict is continuing, complicated by the intervention of various regional terrorist groups, and also a vacuum of power in the north and the center. The firmly embedded international extremists are spreading activities to Niger, Burkina Faso, and Côte d'Ivoire, neighboring countries. The number of victims from jihadist attacks is growing. Disquieting assessments in the report of the Secretary General and also conclusions following the Security Council's mission to the region in March, in particular demonstrate that any ideas of drawing down MINUSMA at this stage are not appropriate. In Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Burkina Faso, the terrorist activities of Boko Haram is expanding, and Burkina Faso is also seeing the appearance of the ISIL-affiliated group Ansar al-Islam. The international and African community is keeping the situation in the Sahara and Sahel as a subject of its constant focus. An important element of work in this area is the UN Integrated Strategy for the Sahel, which aims to improve the effectiveness of state governance, build the capacities of national and regional security mechanisms, and carry out development activities in countries of the region. Financial, military, and humanitarian assistance continues to be provided through various international programs, UN missions, and also on a bilateral basis. The G5 Sahel is continuing its efforts to ensure the fully fledged deployment of the joint forces to combat terrorism, organized crime, and drug trafficking. Currently, the joint force has managed to carry out several operations on the ground. We highly appreciate the activities of the UN Office for West Africa and the Sahel and UN specialized agencies to provide a broad range of assistance to West African countries. It is of fundamental importance that such efforts be undertaken in close coordination with the African Union, the Economic Community of West African States, and other organizations. We believe it important to increase the effectiveness of the UN Integrated Strategy for the Sahel and the corresponding support plan. In implementing these documents, the opinion of the countries for whom it has been developed is of priority importance. Mr. President, we believe that there must also be proper coordination of the many programs providing assistance to the region. Their effectiveness depends among other things, on whether the structures that are present there, first and foremost those within the UN system, are acting within their sphere of responsibility and taking into account the principle of division of labour. It's only through collective, focused actions carried out in the relevant formats and that do not create conflicting mandates will we be able to achieve the desired result. Russia continues to actively participate in resolving the problems of the West Africa and Sahel region. We are undertaking steps to establish effective cooperation with the G5 Sahel. In April of this year, the first visit to Moscow of a delegation from this association took place, led by the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Sidiku, during which agreements were reached on strengthening a fully fledged practical interaction and cooperation. On a bilateral basis, we continue to provide assistance to building the combat readiness of the armies and security structures of states in the region, in particular at Russian training facilities. Service personnel and police officers from Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso continue to be trained, and we intend to continue to provide this assistance for our West African friends. Thank you.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for